Let's start. Okay, so we were discussing about half wave controlled rectifier. So we had a small part left from yesterday. The fourth type of load we had already studied is R load, RL load, and RL with freewheeling diode. Why we have used freewheeling diode, I've told you. And last, the foremost important load is your RLE load. Why am the foremost important I am saying is as RLE load, because ultimately your output of a rectifier is DC and controlled DC, so you can control the voltage at the output. One thing. So what is happening over here? We are using a DC motor. DC motor can be represented as a armature resistance, armature inductance, RA, and your back EMF EB. So that is a representation of your DC motor, which is shown over here, RLE. And you have a same thing. You have a AC source, over here. Then a thyristor, then your load RLE. Now what is happening over here? We have two voltage sources over here. One is VS, your supply voltage, and another one is this EMF E, which is the battery voltage. Now you know that, like last day we had discussed this thing, how will a thyristor conduct? So this is anode. Anode should be positive with respect to your cathode. So if this is 12 and this is 6 volt, then only it is possible to conduct, right? Then only there is a fall in potential from 12 to 6 and current will flow in this direction. But if you have 6 and 12 in this direction like this, so in which direction current should flow? 12 to 6. It is not possible with the use of a thyristor. So I can take a conclusion from here that until and unless this potential, at this point we have a potential, at this point we have a potential, right? This is directly connected to Vs. I am thinking no current is flowing over here, so this positive is connected directly to this one. So, or you can think this V naught. So if your V naught is less than your this voltage, okay, just now I'm thinking it as V naught. If this V naught is less than your this voltage, then the thyristor will conduct. If it is more, then it will not conduct. So at the when current is zero, I naught is zero, no current is flowing through this. What will be the voltage V naught? It will be nothing but E. If you connect a voltmeter across this, so I naught R 0, L d I naught by dt 0. So V naught is equal to E. So at this potential, what will have E? At this point, we will have E. And at this point, we have Vs. So obviously, Vs should be greater than E for the thyristor to conduct. So this is my concept we should take before drawing our waveforms. So what I have done is shown over here a AC waveform, which is your Vs, Vm sine omega t, and there is another EMF E over here, E, which is as shown at some level. You can take any level, not a problem. Now we have seen that whenever my source voltage will be greater than this E, then only my thyristor can conduct. Okay, so this is the point of intersection between E and Vs. So this is my limit to your firing angle. Okay, so this is my limit to your firing angle over here, this theta. Okay, I'll say first this theta, explain this theta. So this theta is your limit to firing angle. So if I'm drawing a curve like this and I am having a E like this, so this is my theta over here. So this theta is equal to alpha. This theta is equal to your alpha. So the minimum value of alpha can be equal to theta. Now, suppose this is 15 degree. Suppose I am considering this point as 15 degree. So even if you give alpha as 10 degree, that means this point, this is 10 degree, less than that. Even if you give alpha, means the gating pulse at 10 degree, thyristor will be on at 15 degree only. So even that is the main thing you have to determine your alpha. It means theta and alpha. Means what will be alpha, what will be theta. So theta is the minimum value of alpha. Anything beyond 15 degree you can give as a firing angle. So that's why theta 1 is shown. So we have taken in the diagram, they have taken something beyond that. You can't take alpha in the left hand side of theta 1. I have explained you why. So they have taken on the right hand side only. So this becomes my point alpha now, and it continues in the same fashion. Now what is happening over here? Till alpha, my thyristor is off because no gating pulse is given. So if my thyristor is off, what will be my output voltage at this point? V naught is equal to E, because there is no connection of this source voltage to the load voltage. So whatever the potential will be over here will be this battery voltage E. So when my thyristor is off, we are getting a voltage E over here. Previously what we had seen, when my thyristor was off, we were getting voltage 0 over here because our load was RL or R. But over here we have a separate voltage over here E. So for that, when my thyristor is off, we are getting a voltage E over here. This magnitude is E. Okay. Then when my thyristor is on at this point, at theta 1 or alpha, whichever you want to take, from that waveform your Vs will be equal to V naught. So it will continue the sine waveform. Either you can start from theta 1 in your copy, or you can show from alpha. So if it is from alpha, then it will rise up to this point. So if it is shown from alpha, so from E, it is rising up to this point. Then it is continuing up to this pipe. Then we have an inductive load. What will happen? The inductor needs to discharge. So it will continue in the negative direction. And then after it completely discharges, it will stop operation. Means the thyristor will be reverse bias. So again, if my thyristor is reverse bias, what will be the voltage? E. So again, we are getting E in the over here. So again, the same cycle repeats like this. So what is the main difference in the with the previous RL load over here? If I compare with RL load over here, we have during the off period one voltage which is E. So we have during the off period one voltage in the output which is your E. So whenever my thyristor is off, we are getting a voltage E. Whenever it is on, it will follow my Vs, and since it is an inductive load, it will continue in the negative direction also because it has to discharge. So over here you see the total angle is taken as beta. So as I have told you, the end point I take as beta. They have followed the same method over here. This is first, from this first bold line to this dotted line is your alpha, the firing angle, and the gap between alpha and beta is your gamma. Whichever you want to take, you don't have to show gamma. Alpha and beta is okay, not a problem. You should understand how the waveform is come. Then what is happening during the positive cycle? This part, alpha to pi, inductor is charging, so exponentially rising. During this pi to beta point, or pi to this point, okay, if you think this point is beta, so this point is beta, so this pi to this beta point, what is happening? Inductor is discharging, so current is decreasing. And during this point, what is happening? There is a voltage E over here. Why we are getting a voltage E? Because no current is flowing through this R and L. So there is no drop across this resistor and inductor. So only voltage E will be there. So why there is no drop across the resistor and inductor? Because it is completely disconnected from the source. So I naught is 0. So I naught is 0 over here. So 0 shown over here, charging, discharging. 0, charging, discharging. This is how it is drawn. Okay, I hope everybody has understood this one. If you have any doubt, you can ask me, because this is very important. You need to calculate this theta 1 also. So let us see what we have done over here. Okay. Next thing very important over here is to calculate your VT. Just the process which I told you earlier cannot be applied over here. You need a separate calculation of your VT because there is a EMF at the output. So that will also have an effect on your VT. So what will be VT basically? VT is basically what? VT is equal to Vm sin omega t minus E. Right? Because why we will get this? Why not V naught I am writing? Because when we will get VT is that when my thyristor is off. When my thyristor is off, I naught is 0. So R into I naught L di by d naught is equal to 0. So what remains in V naught is only E. So that's why instead of writing V naught over here, Vt is equal to Vs minus V naught, which we had already seen, we have substituted V naught as E over. Now at omega t is equal to 0 at the starting point. Okay, you are understanding it at omega t equal to 0. That means this point. So if you substitute sine omega t sine 0, so sine 0 is equal to 0. So 0 minus e is equal to minus e. Okay, so we have made the term minus e over here, e shown in the negative direction. So we have got a point at omega t equal to 0 whose magnitude is e over here. Okay. Next is omega t, next cross section point is omega t equal to theta 1. Now if you look at this figure of Vs at theta 1, what is happening? The sine wave is coinciding with your e. So can I write Vm sine omega t is equal to e at theta 1? Yes, because this point is a coincidence of your, means they are coinciding. The sine wave and your constant e is coinciding at this point theta 1. So if I replace at omega t equal to theta 1, Vm sine theta 1 will give me a magnitude which is equivalent to e. So what I will write, Vm sine omega t minus e is my general formula. Vm sine theta 1 minus e will be my next formula. And what is Vm sine theta 1 is nothing but e. So e minus e is equal to 0. So at theta 1, see at theta 1, the curve shifts from e to 0. Okay. Now, next is what is happening at omega t is equal to alpha. Now go to the previous figure. At omega t is equal to alpha, this is my point. Right? If I take a this is my point. Vm sine alpha minus e, right? We have to do Vm sine alpha minus e. So Vm sine alpha minus e, which is greater? Obviously, this sine wave minus e, you will get this small part in between this one. So what is happening over here? So this small part is a positive value because Vm sine omega t is greater than e. So you will get a positive value. So what is happening to the curve? From 0, it is increasing. So next at omega t equal to alpha, it becomes Vm sine alpha minus e and it becomes positive. And how will be the nature of curve look like? It will be a sine wave because it is a sine function over here minus a constant. So it will follow a sine curve only. No need to worry about that. Please draw a sine curve. Don't draw it just a straight line. So try to make little bit slant line so that it is understood as a sine curve. So up to alpha is understood. Next, what is happening? From this alpha point to this beta point, my thyristor is on. So if my thyristor is on, this point and this point is short circuited. So what will be Vt? Vt will be 0. So that's why my Vt is 0 during this point. Up to this point beta. Now next what happens at omega t equal to beta. Now at omega t is equal to beta, as soon as the thyristor turns off, so you put Vm sine beta over here. Okay, you can write in the negative direction. So Vm sine beta minus pi plus e. So basically what is happening, this Vm sine beta is going in the negative direction, right? Because in the after this pi, the sign goes in the negative direction. If you put beta over here, this value is has to come as negative. So that's why this value is negative and this value is also negative already in the general equation. So if you take minus common, you can add those. So ultimately, what is my main goal? We have to see the magnitude. What is coming? It should be negative. So it is shown in the negative direction and value of this one. What will be the maximum value? Maximum value will be Vm plus E. Right. This value will be 1. So maximum peak value that can occur is sine maximum value is 1. So if you substitute this as 1, so E plus Vm will be the maximum value, but in the negative direction in this case. Now, next thing. At 2 pi, this is my 2 pi point. Okay, this is my 2 pi point. If you go to this figure, which is my 2 pi point, this one, at the end of the negative half cycle of the sine wave. So if you substitute 2 pi over here, Vm sine 2 pi is again 0. So what you will get? Vt equal to minus e. So Vt is equal to minus e. So at 2 pi, it should be minus e. Now, you relate it. What is 2 pi? Is nothing but 0. 360 degree is coming to the same point as 0. What was happening at 0? Minus e. Minus e. See? So it has reached minus e. Then you can complete the cycle after this. It will follow up to this one. So after 2 pi, at some gap theta 1, it will be 0. Then at some point alpha, it will be positive. Then after that, it will be 0. then goes in the negative direction and continues. Okay. So for this Vt, you have to make some calculations. That's why this is coming. You can't draw it directly by adding your Vt with V0 to get your Vs. So that's the main thing over here. Okay. Just these are the common formulas which we can use it. That I naught average equal to V naught average by R, I naught average equal to V naught RMS by R. Okay, this formula should be in the next page. Sorry for that. I'll change it and send to you. Okay. The main thing over here, this calculation RLE is a large calculation. Okay, you have to do it on your own. How can you remember? I told you you have to write down all the formulas in a single page, compare all the formulas, make a comparative analysis, and try to remember. Because its integration limits are changing. Okay. So it has some point from alpha to beta, other points it is E. So you have to take care of all the points. Because previously during this point E, my value was 0. So we were eliminating those points. Now we can't eliminate that because we have the E value also during the off region. So what will be my integration limit? Alpha to beta, Vm sine omega t minus. Okay. So I naught average, you calculate it like this. Okay, you will get this value. This is the actual formula. Now, if you considered it as a RE load, so if your inductance becomes 0, you go through this formula. I will just explain you the concept over here. Okay, that is up to you going to the formula.
স্যার বলছি এটা এক্সপ্লেইন করতে হলে কোন প্লটটা আঁকবো, এই সেকেন্ড পেজেরটা না ফার্স্ট পেজের গুলো?
দেখো, এক্সপ্লেন করতে যদি দেয় ভিএস ভি নট আই নট থাকবে, যদি বলে ভিটি আঁকতে দেন ইউ ক্যান ড্র ইট, কিন্তু এই তিনটে থাকবে সবসময়, ভিএস ভি নট আই নট। ইয়েস। আর ওই মোড করে
আর একটা জিনিস জিজ্ঞেস করছি, V0 প্রথমে যে ছোট একটা হরাইজন্টাল লাইন দেখিয়েছে ওটা কি ব্যাটারি রিটা? মানে যখন থাইরিস্টার অফ করে,
একদম একদম এ যখন অফ থাকবে, এখানে তো একটা ভোল্ট মিটার লাগানো আছে, এখানে ভোল্ট মিটার লাগানো আছে, এ যখন অফ থাকবে তাহলে কি ভোল্টেজ পড়বে? শুধু ইটা পড়বে। দ্যাটস ওয়াই whenever thyristor is off it will read a voltage E। ঠিক আছে,
ঠিক আছে।
আগের গুলো যদি কম্পেয়ার করে থাকো, এই ইটা ছিল না, এই ইটা ছিল না, ওর জন্য whenever my thyristor was off this point was 0 0, then going like this, then 0, but now we have a E over here, so that's why wherever it was 0 in the previous curves, now it is becoming E। যেটা explain করা most important thing is if my inductor is 0, if it is a resistive load, so there is no point of discharging over here. So what is happening over here is that whenever, because the inductor discharges, it forces the thyristor to turn on. That's why my curve follows my Vs. If my thyristor is on, V0 is equal to Vs, so my curve is following my Vs. But if my inductor is not there, so there is no point of discharging. So whenever my how will my thyristor be on? If my Vs is greater than E, so this is my theta1. Now whenever my this voltage becomes 12 and this voltage becomes 6, this turns off. Okay, plus 12 plus 6, so this turns off. So when it will happen? Whenever it goes beyond this point, right? So my Vs drops below my E, so Vs has become 6 and E is 12. So whenever the Vs drops below E, my thyristor will be automatically off if it is a R load, RE load. But if it is a L load, it will continue operation because there is a inductor has to discharge. It will have some energy stored, so it has to discharge through the thyristor. So theta1 and theta2 will be my limits. Okay, so theta1, theta2 will be my limits. So that's why if you integrate this, it will not start from alpha. If you take theta1 as alpha, not a problem. If you take the starting point only, it will start at theta1 and it will end at theta2. So this integration limits can be changed and you can do it accordingly. Okay, what I have done over here is taken this as starting point as alpha only, So I have not changed alpha over here. See, alpha is kept over here, but you can keep it in terms of theta 1 also. Okay, and what will be beta? See what is happening to beta. This is very important and just a common concept. See, sine this point. Suppose this point is 30 degree, right? So sine 30 degree will be equal to sine that one 120 degree. So whatever this theta 1 is, ठीक बोललाम तो नाकि pi minus theta 1. Sorry, this points and this points will sorry sir. If this is 30 degree, what is this value? This point will be 180 minus 30, that is 150 degree. So if you do sine 30 and if you do sine 150, both values will come out to be same. Okay, so this is basically, this theta 2 can be written basically as pi minus theta 1. Okay, so what we can do over here, instead of writing alpha, you can write theta 1 and integrate it to pi minus theta 1 if it is a RE load. Okay, so what we'll do, instead of beta, what cos beta, we'll write cos pi minus theta 1, and instead of alpha, you can put it cos theta 1. Okay, I've just kept it alpha, you can put it and see it. If you refer books, they have given problems with RE load and they have replaced this alpha with theta 1 and this beta will always be replaced with theta 2, that is pi minus theta 1. That is important part. Achha. Next important part is, while doing this calculation, either your alpha will be stated in your question, that means finding angle of 45 degree, 30 degree. So what you need to do is calculate your theta 1. Next thing what you do is calculate your theta 1. This because this E, Vm all will be given, R will be given. So how to calculate your theta 1? Again from graph. So you see that this sine wave is intersecting with this E point at theta 1. So out in this total sine wave, I have one particular point where I have the value. At this point, I can't say what is my value. At this point, I can't say what is my value. But at theta 1, I can say that Vm sine theta 1 is equal to E, and E will be already specified in a question. So if I write Vm sine theta 1 is equal to E, so Vm sine theta 1 is equal to E. So theta 1 is equal to sine inverse E by Vm. So sine inverse E by Vm. That is how you will calculate it and put it in this equation. So three very important formulas. Oh, sorry. So three very important formulas you should know. Three very important formulas you should know, and apart from this is your average and RMS value, which is divided by, all these are steady state values. Okay, so always divided by R. Okay, generally what we do over here, we don't follow this equation. I'll just remove this equation for you because it will create a confusion. Generally what we do over here, because there is a EMF over here, okay, E over here, so what we do is calculate our VI. When I calculate my I, then V0 will be I into average plus R. That will be easier for us, rather than calculating our V and dividing it by R. Because you see, now V0 average is not equal to direct I0 average into R. There is a factor E over here. That's why I'll say don't go by this formula. Okay, I'll remove this. Sorry for the mistake. This C and D formula doesn't go with this RLE load. For any type of converter with RLE load, in RLE load, the first thing you have to do is find your I0 average, then do V0 average is equal to E plus I0 average into R, because there is an extra EMF source E over there. Previously in our RL load, what we had seen, we had written V0 average is equal to I0 average R. Now I0 average into R, I0 is calculated already over here. You multiply with R and add E. Ultimately, you will get this equation. Okay. You can do the calculation from here also. Another way you can do the calculation, there are two methods you can do it. Like this one as stated, V0 average is equal to E plus I0 average into R. Substituting this I0 average over here. Another thing you can do is that from the equation. So how it is my V naught average is coming? Previously one thing I will just do not tell you. This starts from alpha and ends at beta, right? So that's why my current integration limits will be alpha to beta only, not alpha to 2 pi. Okay. Since it is a half wave rectifier, obviously you know time period is 2 pi, but this waveform is ranging from alpha to beta only. So that's why my limit was alpha to beta. But now you'll see this whole thing is covered over here. There's V naught. So we have to take the entire thing over here. So that's why now I have taken alpha to beta over here, then added some term. Why I have done that? Because this whole thing has to be included. Because alpha to beta means this point, right? And if you take alpha to beta, this point, it is following my sine wave. So integration of alpha to beta Vm sine omega t. That gives me this part, this part. Where is that? Integration of alpha to beta Vm sine omega t. And rest is the E. What is this E? Now if you look into this, so from this point to this point, it is ranging. Okay. So I have to calculate this magnitude. How much will be that? So this point is how much? 2 pi, right? 2 pi. Sorry. This point is 2 pi. This point is 2 pi. And this small gap over here we know is alpha. So this point we can calculate as 2 pi plus alpha at this point. So I need to find this range. I need to find this much gap, because if I take this much gap, this small gap will also be included over here. So total is 2 pi plus alpha. This point is how much? 2 pi plus alpha. And this point is how much? Beta. I'll just make it a little bit clear. This point is 2. I need to calculate the length between these 2 points. This point is how much? 2 pi plus alpha. And this point is how much? Is beta. So if I calculate the gap, what will be the gap? 2 pi plus alpha minus this point, which is beta. So E exists for 2 pi plus alpha minus beta in per cycle. So that's why it is written E into 2 pi plus alpha minus beta. Then if you do this, you will get this equation. If you do this and put over here and make all the calculations, taking E common over here, see E common over here, you will get again this value. So not a problem. Any method you can do it. But these are huge formulas, so make a list of all the formulas. And RMS value of output current. RMS values are huge, so see such a huge equation. I'm not going into detail about this. Same thing. See one thing more, another thing I forgot to tell you, I naught average. See when you are calculating I naught average, Vm sine omega t by R. All these are average value, means steady state value, no effect of your inductor. Inductor is considered a short circuit. So all these values are calculated as steady state. Now over here also I naught RMS equal to Vm sin omega t minus E by R, which follows this only, Vm sin omega t by R, which is this one. But there will be a square over here. So there is a square over here, then all the integrations are done and you will get a huge equation. Please try to solve it and verify it. Okay. I have just directly written over here. You can find calculations given in book also. You can do it on your own and verify whether the same thing is coming or not. I have explained in terms of Vs. You know that Vm is equal to root 2 Vs, like that you can substitute it. So you can do it. Now next very important thing is your EF equation. Power delivered to the load. Now what is the power delivered to your load? Always your RMS power. So RMS power means I naught RMS square into your R. Inductor doesn't, average power of an inductor is 0. So no problem with your inductor. So whatever the power will be consumed is by this resistor, and some power will be consumed by this battery source. So R into I square. So what will be that? I is nothing but your RMS. But E into I naught average. Because why I am multiplying I naught average into E? Because E is a battery source. So it's a DC value. So E into I naught average. Okay, so P equal to I naught RMS square R plus I naught average into E. This is very important. And input power factor is given by I naught RMS square plus I naught average, this value divided by VS I naught RMS. This is the value of your input power factor. So all these formulas you should know. I am telling you to make a list of that. So this is the end of the last day's continuing lecture. And I just okay. So today what we'll do is go through some of the calculations regarding this, how to use the formulas and do the calculations. This we have already done in AC voltage controllers. Same type of calculations will be done over here. Okay, recall all the facts that I have told you. Now see, in this problem it states that a single phase 230 volt 1 kilowatt heater is connected to a single phase 230 volt supply through a SCR. Okay, one SCR is required for a half wave rectifier. If you have two SCR, then it is a full wave converter, midpoint converter. If it is a 4 SCRs are used in the circuit, then it is full bridge converter, which is a bridge type. So take care of how many SCRs are given in the question. If it is not mentioned whether it is half wave or full wave. Since it is one SCR, we will take this as your half wave rectifier circuit. So 1 kilowatt heater, the load is given, rating is given 1 kilowatt and 230 volts. So I can find out the resistance. So our heating element is always considered as resistive element. So R is equal to 230 square by 1000. You know this formula, P is equal to V square by R. So from there you can calculate this and then substitute your VRMS for a half wave rectifier. R load equation. So R load equation, this was our equation. I'm not going into previous slide. This was our equation which we had derived in the first class, just written it down. How will you put the values? This is very important, as recall the facts which I have told you. The value given in your question is RMS value, but in the equation you have to substitute Vm. So 230 root 2, since it is a sine wave. So Vm will always be 230 root 2. Whatever the value of voltage given in question, you have to multiply with root 2 to get your Vm. Okay, this pi taken outside, so can be written as root pi. Now, whenever alpha is associated with pi, you have to write alpha in terms of radian. So, what is my alpha? 45 degrees. So, see over here pi by 4. And whenever alpha is associated with your sine, you should write in terms of degrees. So, 45 into 2 gives you 90 degrees. But don't change your mode of the calculator. Keep it in degree mode only and do the calculation. You will get 155.071. Please try it once at your home and tell me if there is any difficulty with the calculation you are facing. Whenever alpha is associated with pi, write it in terms of radian. Whenever alpha is associated with sine, write it in terms of degree. Don't change your mode of the degree, mode of your calculator. Keep it in degree mode and do this calculation, and you will get 155.07. And then the formula P is equal to V naught RMS square by R. See, it is a resistive load, so direct V naught RMS square by R. If it was a RLE load, then I naught square RMS plus I average into it. So small changes in formula according to our loads. So you can do the calculation as follows. Next thing what can be found out is some of the parameters which we had not discussed previously, and I told you in the problem we'll discuss. Some parameters which can be found out are this one: rectifier efficiency, form factor, voltage ripple factor, transformer utilization factor, peak inverse factor. Why this is important? Because this estimates the performance of your inverter. Rectifier. How good it is. What will be the rating of the thyristor? What goods you should buy from the market? What transformer you should buy? What is the rating? All these things will be given by this. So it is very important to calculate this, and from this all these parameters comes for your competitive exam question also. So it is these are all formulas you have to basically remember it. But before going into the formulas, you have always to remember your RMS and average formula. Without that, you can't solve this question. So you see, it is a half-wave rectified circuit with delivers to a load of 10 ohm. So it is a R load circuit. So we have used the V naught average formula, V naught RMS formula, calculated it accordingly. See, alpha is associated with cos, so used in terms of degree. Alpha associated in terms of sine, used in degree. Alpha associated in terms of pi, so written as pi by 3. Calculated the value, calculate your PDC, PAC. Now, what is efficiency? Yesterday's lecture also I told you. Output by input. What is at the output? Average means DC. So DC by AC. So DC power by AC power. Input power is AC. Then what I was telling that how to calculate your rectification efficiency. Okay, so output power is DC power and input power is AC power. So DC power is how will you calculate V naught average square by R, or you can calculate V naught average into I naught average. So average power is your DC power and RMS power is your AC power. So that's why PDC by PAC will give you your rectification efficiency. Form factor you know, RMS by average value. So what is RMS? 145. What is average? 77. So 145 by 77 will give you 1.879 form factor. Voltage ripple factor is given by square root of FF square minus 1. FF is already calculated. You can do this calculation. Transformer utilization factor is given by PDC by VS I naught RMS. Put the value PDC, put VS, put I naught RMS, get your value. What is PIV? The peak inverse voltage of thyristor. Now, just 1 second. For this, you have to check this one. I'll just open the PDF. Okay, so over here it's R load. Okay. For this R load, what is my PIV? Peak inverse voltage. What is the maximum inverse voltage that can appear across this? This is nothing but your sine wave, right? This is nothing but your sine wave which we are getting over here. So what is the maximum value of the sine wave over here? Vm. So that is what we are using over there. PIV is equal to Vm. So PIV is equal to Vm, peak inverse voltage, maximum voltage that can appear across the thyristor when it is reverse bias. Why this is very important? Because you know that when reverse bias thyristor, any PN junction device can go to avalanche breakdown. So for this thyristor, if I give 340 voltage, negative 340 voltage across the thyristor, this will get avalanche breakdown. So it will get damaged. So you can't exceed the maximum voltage across the thyristor when in off state beyond 325 volts. So that is very important. When we buy a thyristor, it's very important to tell the current voltage rating, the forward bias one, as well as check the reverse bias rating also. Because sometimes it may be subjected to reverse bias voltage also, right? Because it has to be turned off. So that rating should not be increased. Means gone beyond. So that's why this is very important. Okay. Next thing is that we'll jump into full wave control rectifier. Okay, now full wave control rectifier. If we have understood the half wave down, we can go very fast over here. Now in full wave rectifier, there are two types. One is midpoint, one is bridge type. So what is midpoint type? Midpoint type means that we have a center tap transformer over here. As you can look over here, we have a center tap transformer. So if this A point is 12 volt, this N point will be 0, B point will be minus 12 volt. Okay, so if you consider the first half cycle, A point is positive with respect to B, and if you consider the next half cycle, B point is positive with respect to A. Okay, so during the first half cycle, there is a thyristor connected T1, T2, so gate pulse should be given. So I've given a gate pulse over here. Now this gate pulse will turn on this thyristor T1. Why? Because we are having a positive cycle. So positive cycle means what? This point is positive, this point is negative. So which thyristor is to be turned on? Is T1. Which thyristor is off? Is T2. So off, on. So current flows from A, T1, R to this, completes the path. So what will be VR? Will be VAN, right? Or V naught will be VAN. What is VAN during this part? This positive cycle, right? What is VBN? I can draw the dotted line over here. It will be opposite to that. So this is VAN. This is VBN. Now if I continue the dotted line over here, I'll get this part. This is my VBN. Okay. So VAN is like this, VBN is like this. Now which thyristor is on? T1. So for that, which voltage will get V0 as? VAN. So VAN drawn over here after a delay of alpha. Which thyristor conducts? T1. So written over here. Next half cycle after a delay of alpha, this next half cycle what we'll do? Next half cycle, if you look at this figure, this part pi to 2 pi. So what we'll do is that my B becomes positive with respect to A, plus, minus. So which is off? T1. Which is on? This one. So I can give a gate pulse to T2 and it will turn off. Even though I give a gate pulse to T1, it will not turn on because it is reverse bias. So current flows from B point T2, this N, and goes in this direction. And previously it was from this direction to this direction. So now what we are getting, the voltage V0 is equal to VBN, right? So VBN is this dotted line, positive. So so my output voltage is also positive. Then 0, then goes positive. Now if you can't understand this one, I can show you another method over here. First, when my T1 was on, current is flowing in this direction. When my T2 is on, current is flowing in this direction. So current direction is this one. Both sides, both the times current direction is maintained same. So current will be positive, right? So current positive, see, positive only, no negative value of current. Current is entering this direction. So this will be plus, this will be minus, this will be plus, this will be minus. Okay. So always my polarity across the load is same. So if my polarity is positive, my second half cycle also polarity will be positive. So this continues like this. Or logically, if you want to say, you have to understand at V0 is equal to, in the first half cycle will be VAN. What is VAN? This curve. So drawn this one. And dotted line VBN will be this one. So second half cycle which is on T2. Which curve you will get? This one. So this one will be T2. Okay. So we will get this one. And since it is a resistive load, my voltage will, current will follow my load voltage. So same diagram over here, except this is VM, this is VM by R. Now we'll go to the calculation. What is the time period of a full wave converter? Is pi, because for every pi cycle my waveform is repeating. So 1 by pi, from which it is starting alpha, ending at which point? Pi. So 1 by pi integration of alpha to pi. So 1 by pi integration of alpha to pi. Do the calculation. 1 by pi integration of alpha to pi, Pm square sin square omega t, because it is RMS. Do the calculation, you will get the value. Okay. This I am skipping because you can follow. I have just told you how the circuit operates. Now RL load. Now if you take a RL load, once. Okay, now if you take a RL load, what will be the difference? Only the inductor will discharge. So first half cycle, you know which will conduct? T1. So current flows from this direction, goes in this direction, T1. So what will be V0? VAN, right? VAN. See over here, both are drawn. In the previous diagram, both were not drawn, but you can add to it. You can draw this diagram like this. Second half cycle, which will be on T2. So what will get the voltage? VBN. So VBN is this dotted line. So VAN. Then in the second half cycle, VBN. Then in this small period, what we are considering, inductor is discharging because there is RL load. So it will go in the negative direction, go top, go in this direction, go top, go like this. Okay. Now current is considered continuous over here. We'll check discontinuous nature also. Okay, I'll just tell you what is discontinuous nature. Now over here, discharging, decreasing, charging, discharging, charging, discharge. Negative portion indicates you're discharging, so it goes on. Now this is a continuous nature, okay? Continuous. What waveform we have done is continuous. Because inductor current is not decreasing to 0. Now you could have drawn this as discontinuous also. How? Simply see, just a simple thing, just this one, 0, then 0, like this, then goes in the negative, then voltage becomes 0, goes in this. Right. So over here there is a voltage over here, which is, so it is decreasing because it is discharging negative voltage. This part of the voltage is 0, so this reaches 0 and becomes 0. Since voltage is 0, current will also be 0. Then during this part, positive cycle it will charge, then during the negative cycle it will discharge, and during the small part it will be 0, then goes on increase. Okay, so if you change this waveform into this waveform, it is also correct, only discontinuous nature, nothing else, all remains same. Now what will change over here is that your integration limit, from here it waveform starts from this point to this point, so limit will be alpha to pi plus alpha, right? And over here, if this point is suppose alpha and this point is beta, your limit will be integration alpha to beta. So in this diagram, limit will be alpha to beta. For this diagram, limit will be integration of alpha to pi plus alpha. So beta is equal to pi plus alpha in this diagram. So integration C, alpha to pi plus alpha, all done, and accordingly all calculations are taken. So you can look into the calculation how limits are taken. The next explanation part is this one. I'll how much time is there? So I'll take bridge converter. So much things are there. So bridge converter, we'll do it next day. I'll just explain to you this one and stop. Now over here also VT calculation is very important. What will be VT? Now in the previous circuit, this one, I have made a simplified diagram over here. Just listen to my words, what I am saying. Can I say, because of the voltage VAN, which thyristor is on T1, and this is supplying my RL load, and because of my VBN voltage, which thyristor is on T2, which is supplying my load RL. So VAN turns on T1, so both are connected in series, with the positive connected to the positive, VBN connected to T2 with positive connected to positive, and both of this supply a RL load. So we are basically simplifying the diagram in this terms. Because VAN will turn on T1, both are connected in series. Because VBN will make T2 forward bias, both are connected in series, and this T1 and T2 will supply to this RL load. So load is connected in parallel. Now when T1 is on, okay, there is no T2. T2 is on during this small gap, or this one. When T2 is on, there is no T1. So when T1 is on, so this is my circuit VAN T1 RL, right? So previously same thing, VAN T1 RL, same circuit. When this VBN is on, this T2, then RL, so it goes VBN T2 RL. So when T2 is on, so VT1 is off, T2 is on, so VBN T2 RL. So same figure, no need to have to worry about this same figure. But this is a simplified diagram, don't draw it in your exam copy. It's better to draw this diagram only, because this is the main diagram. Now what we'll do is apply a KVL in this loop. Take any direction, whichever you want. I have taken clockwise direction. Take any direction and apply KVL. So between GHEFG. So what is happening? Let's start from this G point, which is connected to VAN. I am taking a clockwise direction, and I take a convention that outgoing polarity should be taken. So if I'm taking this direction, what is the outgoing polarity of your VAN is plus. So VAN plus. VT1 outgoing polarity is minus VT1. Then goes in this direction. So it goes in this direction. So plus VT2 goes in this direction. So you get minus VBN. Minus VBN equal to 0. So VT1 is equal to VAN plus VT2 minus VBN, right? So when VT1 is on, that means VT2 is off. When VT1 is off, VT2 is on. So when we will get VT1? Whenever it is off, right? Because if this switch is off, then only I'll get a potential difference across these 2 points. If it is on, it will be short circuited. So it is 0. So whenever it is off, then only I'll get VT1. So whenever T1 is off, I'll get a value of VT1, and at that time T2 is on. So on means this is 0. What is VAN? Positive cycle. So Vm sin omega t. What is VBN? Negative part, right? The negative of VAN. If VAN I'm writing Vm sin omega t, VBN will be minus Vm sin omega t. So Vm sin omega t minus Vm sin omega t gives you 2 Vm sin omega t. Okay. So we'll draw this. What will be the maximum value of this VT1? Will be 2 Vm. So maximum value is 2 Vm over here. So VT1 drawn over here, because up to this point T1 is off, up to this alpha. So we'll get a voltage across this. Then 0 up to this point. At this point T2 is on. So up to that point T1 was on. So 0. Then continues as a sine wave, but magnitude is 2 Vm. Previously what we had shown in the, just now we had done a problem, right? PIV. Just now with the help of the waveform I had shown you why it is Vm. But in a midpoint converter, it is 2 Vm, twice Vm. And you can draw this VT2 accordingly. Okay. So remember this, there are a few different, you can't draw directly VT as the methods which I told you earlier. You have to make some calculations and follow accordingly, keeping in mind the magnitude. So over here, all sine wave is maintained because it is a sine wave, but magnitude is 2 Vm. Okay, negative direction because reverse bias voltage. So we will